It's just nice and relaxed, okay? Nice and relaxed. Okay. Hello, everybody, and I hope all of you are staying true and living true to yourselves in this wonderful environment, or I would say, quarant universe that we live in called Earth. I know that we're all trapped within our homes, yearning for the day to reconnect ourselves with Mother Gaia. But alas, we have to remain home so that we can heal the earth. I am joined with my spirit sister, Michelle Maturana. How are you, Michelle?
Hi, hello, I'm good. How are you?
I am great, Michelle. You are episode 1 of Earth Chats. It's a pleasure to have you. So, Michelle, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? Who are you and what do you do, and like a bit about your background.
Sure. Well, my name is Michelle. I basically do tarot readings. I've been doing tarot readings for a while now, since I was 11 years old, and I slowly practiced and kind of mastered the readings and developed a strong intuition with the cards, with the help of the cards. And yeah, I'm from Canada, and I think it's been quite a few years now since I've been using the tarot, and I've been now helping people through counseling, guiding them in life, and now I have a channel, so Divine Intuition, and in that channel I try to lay out the cards to understand more about the dynamic between our relationship with other people. In this case now it's the divine feminine, divine masculine energy, so kind of like a sort of counselor, you can say, in regards to the cards. So yeah, that's so far I can say about myself, a tarot reader. I'm also an animator. I work in the animation industry, but mostly focused in design. So my goal is basically to combine my passion with tarot and my passion with animation into one. So trying to fuse the two together, and trying to make people understand more about what tarot is, and more in regards to visual effects, perhaps visually teaching them. So I would consider myself a teacher as well, probably want to counsel people in that sense. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I would trust me, everyone. Michelle is an amazing animator. She is one of my sifus in animation. She is one of my teachers that helped me develop my skills with animation. So, Michelle, from me to you, I bow to you, Sensei.
Oh, thanks, Brandon. Well, you're an excellent grasshopper. You have so much talents and potential when it comes to you. When it comes to animation and creating stories. You're a great storyteller, so definitely you have lots of potential in that sense.
Well, what got you into tarot, and did it lead to animation, or was it the other way around? Were you into animation before tarot cards, and did animation lead you to tarot cards, or was it the other way around?
It was first tarot cards and then the animation. It's like two passions slowly started to grow, but I discovered my passion for tarot cards first. And the way how I started it is, at that time I was living in Chile, and my dad was working very close to a minery where they were, like, I think they were mining lapis lazuli crystals. And one day he bought this beautiful giant lapis lazuli crystal, kind of like a little rocky, but very big, and he brought it to me. And I was around 10 or 11 years old, and I always put it beside me. I always admired it, looked at the gold stripes. So I was very connected to the crystal. And I didn't know at that time, but that crystal actually helped me awaken my third eye, right? It's a crystal for the third eye. And it actually brought opportunities for me to get to know what tarot cards are, because a lot of things, a lot of synchronistic events happen. There was this soap opera, Chilean soap opera, about gypsies, and I started to watch the soap opera and was very drawn to it. I was very drawn to the world of gypsies, actually. I could really relate to them in a very deep level. Maybe a past life, I was probably a gypsy. So there was a strong connection with that. And my family, a lot of my family members, I think, discovered that part of themselves too from my mom's side. Wouldn't be surprised we all came from a gypsy reality, I don't know. But I was so fascinated with the divination tools that they use. I would use one of the characters in the soap opera and the telenovelas. She was this wise old woman, and the people would come to her for a reading, and she would just spread out the cards, and she would just predict and tell people things. And there was such a mysticism to that. There was such a magic about that I was really drawn to it. And it made me feel like, wow, magic is real. Because at that time, you're 11, you're full of imagination. And for me, life seemed really dull. Like, a lot of people didn't believe in magic at that time. Maybe our awareness was not as awakened at that time that it is now. So I was so fascinated with this magic in these cards, and I realized, oh, so magic does exist. There is this level of mysticism that exists, and that's when I became very drawn to wanting to get the cards in the first place. So I would tell my dad about these tarot cards, and he got it for me. I have a perfect memory of us going into a tarot shop and picking out the tarot cards, and the first one was the Rider-Waite, of course, and he got like this nice purple book. And then I just started studying tarot cards from a very young age, and I think it's all because of that crystal. It just brought events for me to push myself in that direction. And then yeah, I slowly started to use them, and I think it helped awaken my parents' intuition as well, because they became very drawn to the cards as well. I realized my mom and my dad started to be very drawn to it. It's like their psychic abilities started to wake up as well, since I do feel like it's in the bloodline in some way. And so I just practice with people, my family members. We always have great memories in Chile of all of us getting to know the tarot cards and being fascinated with the soap opera about gypsies. And so that's how it began. And then later on, it's like everything happened around that age. When I was 11, my grandfather, he built this little light table for me, and he gifted it to me, and I was so fascinated with it because I didn't know what a light table was at that time, but I used it obviously for drawing and tracing. And then I realized that I could move the characters through paper, through tracing and tracing the other side, like traditional animation, right? And flipping it. And I'm just like, I was very fascinated by it, because at that time, I was watching all these Nickelodeon shows, and this all happened in Chile. And I was watching all these cartoons, and I was very fascinated with these cartoons, and to the point that I felt like I wanted to recreate them too. Like, I wanted to create stories out of those cartoons. These days we call that fan fiction or fan art, or like we create our own stories with regarding these characters. And so I was at that age, I felt like I wanted to recreate my version of that story, and I wanted to make her move, this character move. So I used a little tiny flip book, and I just started to draw that character, trying to like really make it look like that character. And then I would just flip it, and then it would come to life, and I was like, oh, I made it come to life. It's really cool. And then I would use the big light table that my grandpa got me and do like a bigger version of it and kind of flip it. And I didn't realize that I was animating at such a young age. That was called animation. I just naturally was drawn to wanting to make it come to life. So it's like I was very fanatic in that sense. So that's when I started to get fascinated with animation, and the whole idea and concept of animation came into being. At that time, probably not as intense during my school years, like in high school, but mostly just discovering an inner passion, right, and of art in general. Because after that, I just started drawing a lot, and trying to perfect my skills a bit more in relation to the industry. So I feel like, yeah, I feel the tarot cards came first, and then the animation came later. So
your background of animation came from the traditional side, because from my experience, I started animating for around when I was about 14, 15. I don't remember exactly when, but
nice.
ever since then I've been animating from there, and I was inspired by it, of course, similar to you. Do you think animation has a very spiritual concept to it, like especially with each frame, that you basically, in essence, I don't want to anybody thinking about this, but you're in essence playing God? Do you think that when you're creating animations?
Yeah, I always think about that. It's like you're the creator. You're creating. You're bringing something to life, but in the two-dimensional world, right? Whereas we're all in the three-dimensional world. We don't know who's creating us up there in the fourth dimension. You never know, right? That's an interesting concept.
Because that goes into the theory of the simulation theory, that this could be all a simulation. We could be Sims if somebody's playing our games, and that could be placed as well to animation. Everywhere that we move, we're animated. So once you say that we haven't been drawn, you, Michelle, haven't been drawn, and somewhere in another world, somebody has drawn this intricate cartoon called Earth, and we're all. This is just a big episodic series.
Yeah, that I wouldn't be surprised if that was actually the reality, right? It's like decoding reality right there. It's like I wouldn't be surprised if, like, yeah, in the game, like console, you know, the person that's playing the game in general, and then you're creating a virtual small version of you, like in Animal Crossing, right? And there's we call that, you know, our higher self. So your higher self could be playing a version of your third dimensional Brandon, right? So, right?
Oh my god.
That's what you would call higher self, I think. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it works. And it's interesting because each level, you know, each dimensional level is like we're a creator in our own way. We have to create something, whether it be animation, whether it be a song, or whether it be any other form of art, or even building something, technical, technology. Anything is a form of art. Even speaking is a form of art. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like, in each level, there's always, you know, a version of ourselves higher that is creating a lower version of ourselves. So, or just creating, you know, in general. So yeah, no, I agree. The concept of being a creator God is inside of us. And I think, you know, when you animate, you're creating something, you're making something come to life. So that's beautiful. It's like, it's real, and people, when they see it, they feel it, they resonate with it, they relate to it so much in a way that it's real to them. And it's interesting because when I took a course in 3D Maya, interesting because Maya means illusion. So this is 3D illusion.
I just got that now. Oh my god, I knew about Maya and I didn't realize that.
I know, right? So I didn't realize that either until Kevin told me about what definition is in Buddhism. So when you take a look, they teach us how to build we were building a dinosaur in 3D, but we were rigging it. So we were building the skeleton of the dinosaur. And I realized that as we were building the rigs of the dinosaur, the data, the information, the codes regarding the build of the dinosaur started to look like a DNA. So it looked like a DNA form. And I'm just like, what? No, like, look, this looks like a DNA. It's so interesting. And it made me realize, you know what? What if this dinosaur is no different than us? How we're being built and coded in that sense, right? So that was actually a really interesting experience when I was at school. I was just fascinated by that. So, but yeah, I totally agree. We're creators.
And since of your background of tarot cards, how I really feel that it has taken an impact here on your creations. Like how has tarot affected your work?
Oh, in regards like to the industry, in regards to like my
Your
other
your your
passion?
own, your own personal projects.
Oh yeah, no, I realized that because I have like such a strong passion for both, it's like I need to somehow merge them in the middle. And I've been very pulled to do that for a very long time now. So because like I have like this creative mind as well, and in a sense I'm very connected to my spirituality, to to using divination or using cards as a sort of like counseling or psychology. Um, I kind of like it affects me in a sense where I'm very pulled towards the imagery of the tarot cards. So tarot cards have these beautiful colors and strong images and strong symbolism and significance in the cards. So because of the strong imagery, I get really pulled to that right away because I'm an artist and I'm very I can be very creative and very drawn to the details of the story. So because I'm so drawn to the details of the story of the cards, which I have a passion of already, it pulls me to want to create a story regarding the tarot. So because it pulls me towards making a story regarding it, I start to develop projects and I start to develop these ideas in regards to making a story about the cards in general. And because I have like this form of being like a teacher, like I like to counsel, I like to teach metaphysical things, I kind of want to incorporate it also as a form of teaching. So that's how like I put the three skills into one, and I'm just being pulled naturally to it, right? So it's just a matter of being disciplined and getting it done. So that's the
Uh,
challenging part. So
and can you go deeper into your psychic powers that you see that you have?
well, I do have a strong intuition, and through that, I think it's helped me develop my psychic abilities. I didn't really feel I was psychic in the past, nor because I always thought it was something supernatural. But I realized like we all have these psychic abilities if we just learn to develop our intuition very strongly. And the cards are a perfect tool to help build that muscle of within your third eye, within your intuition. And because I used it for such a long time now, it's like going to the next stage now, where it's now I can have these kind of psychic perceptions and premonitions, right? Or just have overall sensation of my environment and what will happen. So I guess that's an ability that's slowly started to develop now, and recently it's gone really strong. So, whereas I can perceive things that may happen in the future, either through my dreams or through just a sensation, like a feeling, like a telling. So it's kind of mixed with everything because it's kind of mixed with channeling and it's kind of mixed with mediumship. So it's like learning different categories of a subject. Like when you go into animation, you need to learn different subjects, right? It's not just animation. You have to learn design, character design, layout, background, painting, color theory. So it's wide spectrum of of choices in regards to one big whole. So I feel like the psychic abilities can is divided into multiple sections. I feel one of them being intuition, using your intuition, and then others like channeling and then mediumship, connecting with spirits, right? So I've been slowly learning. It's like I'm starting in that part of the subject, like starting a class, right? I'm kind of past the grade towards intuition and perceiving things in the future. And now I'm slowly learning, mediumship and slowly learning channeling. So trying to practice automatic writing, that kind of helps a lot. Not that good at it, but sometimes it comes out and I can perceive what it means. And I think it's a very intuitive feeling when you do automatic writing, because I think my mom has it too, where I couldn't understand what I wrote, but she read it and she understood what it meant. She told me and it was that. So it's like we all carry that. It's like still very intuitive. I think intuition is like the main thing. If you have a strong intuition, I think the rest will follow in that sense, because everything is intuitive. But at the same time, a lot of people are clairaudient, some people are clairvoyant, some people can hear things. I can't really hear things necessarily, but other people can hear voices, can hear people speaking from the other side. So that's another ability. So it divides, right? But it's all part of the big whole. So that's how I feel. I encourage people to really practice, this part of them. Using divination tools actually can be very helpful for you to develop this ability, because it can be quite helpful for you in the long run, right? Especially with all these events happening, it can be very unpredictable. But if you're centered and you have a strong intuitive ability, you can perceive things before they happen. So, or work together in that sense to prevent it in a way. That's one way to help out the situation. But other than that, I've had other supernatural experiences that were due to learning intuition, probably just visitations. I think the only supernatural thing I would say is visitations from other entities, giving me information about situations, visitations in dreams, visitations in my reality. But I'm still a baby. Like, when it comes to these things, I'm still learning. But I do get these visitations, from light beings or from darker entities. And I'm in that stage where I have to learn not to get bullied by them, because dark entities can really, or spirit forms can really take advantage of people who have this perception and can see and feel the other side. So I'm in the stage where I'm trying to battle and trying to gain my own power back in that sense. So that's the only supernatural thing I would say, or ability that I would have at the moment. But I feel like I'm still learning throughout those stages of practicing channeling and mediumship. So yeah.
That is very interesting. So, like, with all of your abilities and such, did you feel like you couldn't share this with anybody else? Did you feel like a sort of an outcast, that like a sort of one away from the crowd, that you found yourself being unique with these abilities that nobody understands?
In a way, yes. In a way, I with a lot of people in my environment or where I grew up, family members or even at school or colleagues, it's very, very rare to find people like-minded people who kind of get you in that level and believe you in that level and kind of answer your questions. That's what I want, is questions to be answered. People know about what the situations I'm going through. It's been very challenging to be open and speak about these things with family members, because family members can be very dogmatic and traditional in their beliefs. A lot of them, are not as open-minded in that sense. So I've been, like in my life, I've been dealing with people that, reject these kind of things. So I've learned to kind of keep it to myself and just tell a few people who understand. And in the work field, that another thing is in the animation industry, I don't think a lot of them are open to these kind of things. You do find a few, though. A few of them aren't into these things, but not as deep as I would like them to be, because it's a lot of the things I'm going through can be very shocking. There can be a lot of information. It can be very deep. So that's I think the struggle is finding people, especially in the work field or in terms of family, to really connect with you in that level to understand what you're going through. So it's been quite challenging to find people that understand these experiences that I'm going through. So I haven't really been able to talk too much, just a few, but it's always like a superficial level. There's not much depth into it, which I would like it to be, because it can be a lot, dealing with all this on your own and not really having much people around you to express that or to understand you in that level. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I really feel like that is a true sentiment, especially on what's going on now. That connection is a much needed thing amongst ourselves. That ever since we were being isolated in our homes, we are finally being at the point where we are appreciating what we were too blind to see. That I see messages from my friends saying, "Oh, I'm missing this person. I'm missing that person." It's like we as humans, we do not appreciate the things that we have until it's gone.
Yeah.
So that's why as well that we have to be more connected now than ever as well.
Yeah.
and talking about more into the tarot cards. Like, how do you think, especially in this time, people can use tarot cards to cope with this crisis? Because there are a plethora of people that are fighting for the toilet paper, that they're all going crazy, killing each other for just a piece of toilet paper.
Yeah.
How do you think people can cope with the scaredness that they're going to get affected with this virus? How do you think they can cope with tarot cards in this time in these times?
Well, definitely tarot card does really connect to our subconscious mind and does kind of form like a sense of clarity from the situation. Because in a situation like this, everything's very foggy, everything's very clouded. Our minds are focused on fear-based thoughts mostly, right? So when we're focused on too much in fear-based thoughts, our minds can be clouded with worry and anxiety. But what tarot cards can do is that it can actually clarify the situation and what's actually happening. It can not only clarify the situation, it can clarify what's happening within you as well. So it can definitely give you a wide picture of what is happening internally within your psyche. And you can ask, okay, what can be the solutions? There are multiple spreads out there, what you can do to observe your internal mind and how to clear it, and what to focus and what not to focus. So the tarot card can really help you in that sense to come and center yourself and to really see the truth of the situation. And it doesn't really lie, it really tells you the truth, and it tells you the possibilities of it guides you. It's like a guide. It'll guide you towards the right path. It'll give you clarity. It will soothe the anxiety. What I realize is that it calms the fog, like it clears the fog from your mind. And I realize we tend to do that a lot when it comes to the media. And I would also suggest, and this is not relating to the cards, to practice being in the present moment and focus on your breath. Because when we focus too much on the future, what it does is it creates more anxiety. What it does is that you're creating a future possibilities that haven't manifested, that don't exist. It's non-existent, and the future hasn't been that future that you keep playing in your mind hasn't really happened yet, or probably will never happen. So that's an anxiety, and that's a torture that you do to yourself. The mind, the torturing of the mind. Right? And then some people live in the past, right? And that's what we call depression. And we could be reliving a scenario, we could be reliving a situation that can perhaps was traumatic, or perhaps something that has identified you. And because you lived so much in the past, you start to get engulfed in that whirlwind, that takes you down into that hole. Whereas in living too much in the future, it takes you too much into future possibilities that are not going to be really manifested. So these two are kind of like the evil villains, and you want to stay in the center. You want to stay in the present. So whenever you want to reduce anxiety, just remember, go back to the present. You're living in a different reality right now, the future reality. It's not real. Or if you're too depressed, unmotivated, then you got to move yourself back into the center. That doesn't exist anymore. It's in the past. So just focus on the center yourself, breathing in and out from the mouth, nose. Doing breath work helps a lot too, to center yourself into the present, and that can really help you as well. And you can blend it in with the cards. You can spread a few cards out as you're doing this exercise. You can also ask the cards for guidance. But the cards are kind of like, think of the cards like as an old wise man, right? Kind of giving you a guidance, or wise woman, whichever you feel more connected to. But it's a bond you're forming. They're there to help you. So just like crystals help you in their own form, in a way. Tarot cards are very psychological in that sense, and can really help you when it comes to your mental state of mind. So especially if people that are suffering mental illness during this time in quarantine, tarot cards can really help to soothe the anguish that can be happening in your state of mind. So because they can really clarify things, and they can really make you feel better. It's like that old wise man patting on the back, being, it's going to be okay, it's okay, don't worry about it. See, this is what's happening, this is the possibilities, and this is what you can do about it. So everything's good. But they are honest. If there is some negative situations that are happening, they will tell you. You know, they're honest. The tarot cards. What I find about tarot cards is that they don't sugarcoat things, whereas oracle cards tend to sugarcoat things and tend to make you feel a little bit well, they're more easy, and that's okay, you know. But the tarot cards, you can really trust them because they're honest and they'll tell you everything. So that's what I feel with the cards.
Yes, that's really true, because especially that each card is represented for an archetype. Because this is the question I wanted to ask you, that you've basically answered the second part of this question, which is how can people overcome the stigma about tarot cards? You've really answered that super beautifully.
Oh, awesome.
But the question is, why do you think that people have this stigma towards tarot cards? Like, because you will have that generic person says, "That's the devil's tools. You get away from me. That's the devil's work."
It's so true. Yeah, and I've seen many of those people in my life all the time. I think, well, I've done a little bit of research, and I think it has something to do with the Roman Catholic Church back in the day. Because back in the day, a lot of people started to use divination tools, and tarot cards were one of them, right? And people were very fascinated with divination tools at that time. And what ended up happening is that I think the Roman Catholic Church started to see that these people, you know, the people were paying attention more towards these things, towards these tools. And that basically made them lose power over the people. Because if you think about it, divination tools or tarot cards, it's like you're holding, they have the power. It's like holding God's power, you know. It's like in their hands. You have access to a certain power, you know, when you have these, and you have access to certain knowledge that is you have your own control of yourself in your own life. In that sense, it's a power tool, you know, within yourself. It's an extension of you, basically. And so at that time, the Roman Catholic Church wanted control and power over the people, right? And so they didn't want people to have power over themselves in that sense. So they, you know, control, right? So I think that's when they started to eliminate everything and burn everything when it comes to divination tools, because they were afraid that they would lose control over the people, right? And that they only need to pay attention in their dogmatic beliefs of their religion or God itself. But the whole concept of God is, you know, it's not that. So I think it's just having that power, you know, it's magical. It's a magic tool, and you have access to everything with these tools. So I think it was the fear of losing control over the people that's why they kind of wanted to eliminate all divination tools for the people. It was just control, corrupted control. So
That's so true, because I feel like that we cannot keep on looking towards the past. Yes, we can learn from the past, take the knowledge from our ancestors, but we cannot keep on living towards what our ancestors taught us what was wrong. We have to learn from their mistakes, like our parents. Learn from their mistakes, take their good lessons, take their bad. But we have to then, as the new generation of children on this earth, we have to take our knowledge from our parents and blend it within our own way and build a new foundation in order to evolve better and expand our minds. Because if we keep on living like this, we can never change, and we can never properly progress further as a human species without allowing ourselves to have, as you could say, a death and then become anew. We could be in space right now, flying with the Greys, but we are too caught up. But we are too caught up with the pleasures of this physical world, and leading towards that. Leading towards that, um, about generations and about looking towards the past. Is there a true way on using tarot cards, or has it, like the Bible, has it been changed throughout the years, or is there an actually a true and ancestral way on how to use tarot cards?
Oh yeah, definitely tarot has been changing throughout the years. Well, there's still a theory trying to figure out where it originated, and a lot of theories say it's probably in Egypt, right, or probably in Spain, where the gypsy culture is, right, where it originated. But yeah, I've seen changes in the tarot. There's always been changes throughout the tarot. Tarot used to have different meanings before. Each archetype would signify something different. They would change the numbers. I think justice was 11 before it was 8. I think like there were, yeah, definitely a lot of things regarding the cards have been changed in that sense. In the imagery of the cards too, it starts to lose the original symbolism of them, because there are a lot of artists out there that are drawn to tarot cards as well and like to interpret their cards in their own way. So they put their own imagery, they put their versions of what the tarot is, or their version of what this card can signify to them, because it's a personal experience. Because tarot is like a reflection of you. If you think about it, it's basically a reflection of humanity. If humans didn't exist, I don't think tarot would exist, because it's basically to reflect the human behavior, right? And it's really interesting and fascinating. That's why it works so well with our psychology. But yeah, the cards have definitely changed in different forms, in terms of meaning, in terms of visual imagery as well, symbolism, to reflect to reflect the artist, to reflect is their expression of themselves. And so it's become very popular. There's different versions of tarot cards now that have different themes and looks, and so it's very hard to kind of really grasp all of it and really get to the core of what the tarot cards are. That's why I like the Rider-Waite a lot, because it still stays within the basics, right? Or the Thoth Tarot, right, as well. That one, I like that one too. That one's more, I feel it's more energetically, whereas like the Rider-Waite is more of, relates to the human activities, human day life activities, right? So I feel like I'm very drawn to the Rider-Waite because it's very close to our psychology, and it's very straightforward and basic. So the more basic it is, and the symbolism, the more the more you understand its meaning in a deep level, right? So the less complex, the better, right? Simplicity is the key in a way. And the strong colors that it projects, the artist did such a beautiful job projecting the colors so strongly that you feel the emotions. Like you look at the Hermit and you feel, the dullness, the solitary, the ice, these around ice, or you feel the Tower, very shocking and overwhelming. It's like it's a devastating energy. But you also feel the lovers, and you feel that passion and chemistry between the two characters. So you feel it. It's simple, but you get the meaning of what it means. So, or the Ace of Cups, beauty, flow, love. You feel that it comes from Source itself. When you see the Ace of Cups, you see that it is Source energy, that is Source love, which is what love is in general. So the imageries are so important, because through the imageries is what is really reflecting the meaning of what the cards are all about. So so I think if people want to really get to know the real, like the core essence of what tarot is, to stay with the basics first, to stay with the Rider-Waite or Thoth, with Thoth Tarot, and you can expand yourself with other tarots as well. But I feel like staying with the original one can really help you understand in a deeper level what the cards mean, because then when you use other tarot cards and they're more complex in their imageries and they're different, you can still understand what it means, because you have a basic understanding of the original version. So you can still go along with the reading and add a few more details, because the card itself has different images. So because it has different images, you can play around with the detail and the information that's there in terms of giving somebody a reading, right? You can suddenly see something in the images and be like, oh, I see a cat, cards. And I feel like have a spirit guide, with you all the time. Just those little images can really say a lot about your situation. So, but yeah, no, that's for sure that it has changed throughout the years. Yeah.
That is very interesting, because some of my friends that have told me about their experiences with tarot cards, some they say that they're afraid of using it because that they say that they don't want to take the chance that's going to predict their death. What do you say to the people who have this vast information of cards at their disposal, but they're afraid to use it because, like those movie tropes have depict tarot cards to be, that they will end up predicting their death, or they might end up summoning a demon? What do you say to that?
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Like cards, especially the Rider-Waite, can be very shocking in that sense because it has a lot of these strong images, like the Death card or like the Tower can really impact you. But surprisingly, when you see the Death card, it doesn't always necessarily mean death itself. It usually just means transformation, ending of the situation, transitioning. It has other meanings. It doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, death, right? Like the Ten of Swords, sometimes the Ten of Swords can represent death. It doesn't have to necessarily be death itself, the tarot card, but it can be also, like the Ten of Swords can represent an ending of some sort. So the cards will tell you how it is, but to not be really afraid on the images, because the images sometimes can represent other things, right? So it's not necessarily evil also. Like if, let's just say you do get the Death card or the Tower or the Devil, and because there's such strong energies, there's such strong they feel like very negative energies or images, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're evil, because it's just a reflection of humanity. It's just what the cards are basically doing is just reflecting what life is already. So you see the Tower, there's a lot of devastation that happens in the world. There's a lot of war and natural disasters, or terrorist attacks in that sense, or it's reality. Tarot is reality. So what the tarot cards are doing is just reflecting the reality to you. And when you see the Devil, well, there's a lot of, sometimes people can be corrupted or are doing things out of their ego, or can be into addictions and drugs. So when you get the Devil card, it can suggest those things. And what you're trying to do is, when you do a reading for someone, you're trying to help the person out, saying, okay, this person is really into negative patterns right now because the Devil card is telling me that. So it's not necessarily the cards are bad, it's just they're just telling me the truth of the situation. It's actually helping the situation in general. So it's the perception of the person. If they perceive it, oh, it's evil, it's not really, because it's just a projection of your reality. It's just trying to show it to you. It's like when we encounter people that reflect certain things that we need to heal within ourselves, they are reflecting that part of ourselves. It's the same with the cards. Cards are just a reflection of what's actually happening. So to change that perception, I think would be the best advice, to see it differently.
Now that you say about reflecting, talking about this crisis, that I don't want to say the name because I've heard people's videos get taken down if they say the name of this virus. So I don't want to say the name of the virus, but people will know what I'm talking about. Talking about like reflecting into this, do you think that why do you think this has happened to us? Is this some sort of wake-up call? And how is there one specific card in the tarot deck that can show this exact reflection about why this has happened to us on planet Earth, this crisis?
Well, what I think is the theory is that what I think this whole virus thing is happening is that it's kind of like installing a new software. I feel like if you think about it as a computer, like you're uninstalling an old software, an old paradigm of our reality, and we're reinstalling something new. You have to cleanse the old we have to reinstall like a new system, you know, in the matrix, and this system has to end. If you realize a lot of people are working from homes now, probably the way we make money will need to change as well. We don't know how far this is going to go, but the feeling I'm getting is like this is kind of like a wake-up call that we need to kind of change our reality and how we're living. We need to earn money differently. We can't continue in this old way of living, in this old system. You know, we have to perhaps be off-grid now, maybe cultivate food for ourselves instead of, you know, depending on groceries, or changing how we earn money in general, probably more towards entrepreneurship, earning instead of, you know, going to 9 to 5 all the time. That's like an old system, very old system. It's like a slavery system, like where the industrial age came to be, where people worked in factories and had a certain time limit. You know, that's a old program. We're all following this program that's ancient already, and it's time to change things. And in terms to work along with the earth, right? We're not really doing things that help the earth. We're just continuing a routine that it's still, you know, that's old and that's still harming the earth. So I think with this whole virus thing, it's like it is a virus that is kind of eliminating the things that are those systems and things that are going against, not really helping, that is part of the problem, right? Part of the problem, and it's not the solution, right? And reinstalling like a new software. Since it's the word virus, it really connects, you know, to computers, and I really feel like it's like an installment of that thing, of that sense, and installing a new paradigm, installing a new system, because I'm pretty sure after this, things will not be the same. Like we would like it to be the same, like obviously, but I don't get that feeling. I don't feel like a lot of things have shifted. So I think that with this whole, I think that's what this whole virus thing is doing. That's what I think it's doing. But obviously there are other theories out there, but I really feel like it's shifting things. And I think now we have to work with the earth now, make changes in our lives to help the earth, and as a community as well. You know, as I think the self-quarantine is kind of a reflection of how we've been isolated really with each other. No sense, right? No sense of connection. We're there together, we work together. Let's just say you can be beside a person every day, but is there a real connection? You know, is there a real sense of community? Or it's just a reflection of what we've been going through internally. And now when things are shown to us externally, that's when we wake up. That's beauty about self-reflection, or mirroring of situations. When situations are mirrored towards us, it's all just a reflection of what you've been doing this whole time internally. And as a society, we've been self-quarantining with each other for a long time. So it's very hard for us to open our heart space and connect and actually really form a community. Like, I don't think we really know what it feels like to be in a community. Some places are allowing that. Some places are creating communities, but you know, whole civilization, whole society itself is lacking that. So that's what I think so far.
That is so true, because I feel like that with this whole isolation concept that we're all living in right now, in we're having resources in scarcity, trying to get by and survive. I feel like that the reason why this happened as well, it's some sort of like cycle or a reflection, how we've talked about, that is trying to give us a wake-up call that it's time to return back inwards. We've been lost too much outside during a night today that we forgot about the one person that we've lived with throughout our entire life, ourselves. So being isolated is giving us a chance to really reflect within ourselves, look at the aspects that we've lost within ourselves, see where we've gone wrong, where can we grow, where can we learn something new. And when we come out of this, we have to be different, because if we are not, the earth can never change if we have not come out from this in looking at everything from a different perspective, appreciating things when we have them and not from when they're gone.
Yeah, that's I agree 100% with that. It's really true to appreciate things what we have now before they're gone. Yes, it's true.
It's very true.
It's true. I really connect with that. I can really resonate with that. And I feel like having like a moment of yourself. People are scared of confronting themselves. People are scared of going within. But it's actually a beautiful sacred space to be in. And it takes you into a different reality. We're so submerged in the external reality that we lose touch of our internal reality, and there's so much to explore inside of us. And of course, it comes with some downfalls. You have to confront your inner demons and stuff like that. But past all that, there's just this beautiful world inside of you that is waiting for you to explore. So I think this is great because the more we look within ourselves, the more we can impact things externally, right? Because the more we work and clean up what's inside, the more externally it will reflect that same thing. So, right, as within, as without.
As above, so below.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, as above, so below. That what's within will be outside.
Yeah, beautiful.
I am just so in love with how you speak with Michelle, because I can tell that you're a person of passion, and that we need people like this, because the more people that are thinking more outside than everybody else, outside the box, will truly build the foundation for how Friedrich Nietzsche says, for the Superman to live, for the Christ consciousness to be awakened, or for the gods within ourselves to properly awaken, to initiate proper change into this world.
Mm-hmm.
And having said this, Michelle, as our final closing thoughts, what do you have to say? Like, just any closing thoughts for people struggling in life, or like any thoughts that you want to share right now? Any closing thoughts?
Well, I guess if the people are struggling, just remember to center yourself, find that inner stillness within you, know that you are the creator of your reality, and you can really do anything to calm and center yourself. You can listen to calming music, you can have people who are there for you, they're there for you. These are times to appreciate the people you love and not to take them for granted, and to really work on yourself during these times and perfect anything and cleanse anything. And I think now it's a perfect opportunity to work on that. I think opportunity beckons us right now at this moment to take advantage of this time, to change your perception about what's happening. Don't stay stuck in the negative, don't stay stuck in the fear. Just if we can just switch that perception and see it as an opportunity instead, your whole reality will shift. Your emotions will shift as well, and this great fulfillment can come back, and you can really make a change in your life as well. I think to change the perception of it, instead of being negative, to be more positive, I think that will help you a lot. So that's my advice right now.
What lovely thoughts! I applaud that.
Yay! Thank you.
And the last thing that we do on Earth Chats, Michelle, I would like you to imagine this. If you're on a jumbotron right now, like a big television, and the entire world is listening to you, I feel like you've sort of answered this with your closing thoughts. But as a final message to the entirety of the world, if you were on a giant TV and all of planet Earth can see you, what would you say to the entirety of the Earth as a final message?
Wow, that's overwhelming. I don't know. Well, if it's a global thing, then I would say, work with Gaia. Let's change our society. Let's be the pioneers of a new Earth. Let's make new civilizations. Let's study more about the Venus Project, or let's study permaculture. Let's create a new world. It's like this world doesn't serve us in any way, nor does it serve Mother Gaia or humanity as a general. So altogether, let's just create a new world. Let's just create a new civilization that can both benefit us and the Earth together as one. And that will definitely also welcome our galactic brothers and sisters that really want to come visit, really want to help us move forward. But we have to change our whole civilization first. So let's make a new world. Let's make a new Earth. I think new Earth is coming already. So, but still.
Yes, Unfortunately, it has to be the destruction of the old.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That with all sacrifices, right? Can come the good. So
But now saying this, this has been Earth Chats, everyone. I hope all of you have enjoyed this interview. I know all of you are in scarcity right now, but just keep your chin up and put a little pep in your step, and you'll be a-okay, everyone. And just make sure to just give love to each other. That's all you can do. Just take a deep breath and don't focus on the bad. Yes, take precautions, be careful, but using fear is never good in a pandemic. All you can do is just stay calm and just ride it through with precautions and being careful. That's all you can ever do. Don't be scared and start overthinking. And like my lovely friend Michelle has already explained to you, just remain calm. That's all you can do in these times of crisis. And just know that everything's gonna be all right.
everything's gonna.
Yes, exactly. And so, Michelle, where can people find you? Do you have any socials that you would like to share?
Yes, you can find me at Divine Intuition. It's my YouTube channel. There I have my tarot readings, I have vlogs, I have my experiences with ayahuasca, and hopefully in the future can show some series there, TV series as well. But in regards to my animation, but yeah, just find me there on Divine Intuition if you would like to see any videos regarding tarot, and if you'd like to contact me too, my email and information are all there too as well.
And all of that will be in the description down below. And at the end of this video, there will be a link to her channel. I will always want to look out for people. I will share their things. So there we go. Oh, that's Michelle for you. For Michelle out to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
And this has been Earth Chats, everyone. The hero's looking to you, Timmy. Have yourself a lovely day. And namaste. Oh no, but before that, namaste. Next time, everyone. Next time. Namaste.
Namaste.
Have a lovely journey, everyone. I hope to be safe. Goodbye, everyone.